Yeah, listeners, welcome to the healing station. Here at the healing station, we receive our healing for sickness, we receive our healing for physical sickness, we receive our healing for financial problems, we receive our healing for emotional problems, we receive our healing for mental problems, we receive our healing for psychological trauma. Let's just say that here at the healing station, God begins to do a healing thing in our lives, repairing us, restoring us, promoting us, protecting us, preserving us. And then we become precious in His sight, so that He gives us Egypt for a ransom, Ethiopian saber for us, Isaiah 43. Today we are talking about the Word of God. Psalms 119, 103, Psalm 119, 103 says, How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. The psalmist is saying, How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. He's comparing the word of God with the word with honey, and he's saying that how sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. And when the word of God is compared to honey, we start to remember Jonathan in 2 Samuel 14. In 2 Samuel 14, there is war between the Philistines and the Israelites, and King Saul has declared a fast, has declared that there is no eating that day. But his son Jonathan is not aware that there is such a decree. So he finds honey. A lot of honey has dropped into the ground, and he finds honey and he eats honey. He uses his cane to pick the honey from the ground, and he puts it into his mouth. And when he puts it into his mouth, his eyes are enlightened. Immediately his eyes are enlightened. Now he tastes the honey. He tells the Israelites later, my father has troubled the land. If only the people had eaten the honey, because the Israelites had seen the honey on the ground, but they couldn't eat it because of the decree from the king that there is a fast. The decree concerning the fast made the Israelites not to eat the honey that was in the ground. And Jonathan observes and says, my father has troubled the land. If these people had eaten, if our people had eaten the honey like I did, they would have experienced what I've experienced, because I tasted the honey and my eyes were enlightened, my eyes were enlightened, my eyes were enlightened. What does he mean when he says that his eyes were enlightened? Does it mean that his understanding increased? Does it mean that his physical strength increased? Does it mean that he just developed better strategy how to fight? That perhaps he found wisdom and understanding that made him to know how we can fight the Philistines and conquer them? So he says that his eyes were enlightened. He says that he tasted the honey and the eyes were enlightened. And the psalmist here is saying, how sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey in my mouth. In Revelation chapter 10, John the Revelator has an experience an experience where he has to eat the word of God, a little book. There's an angel that is standing, one foot on earth and another foot on the sea. And this angel holds a little book in his hand. And a voice comes from heaven that tells John the Revelator, ask him to give you the book. So John the Revelator tells the angel, give me that book. And is given the little book. And the voice from heaven says, eat the book. So he eats the book, and is told, when you eat the book, it shall be sweet in your mouth, but bitter in your belly. So he eats the book. It is sweet in his mouth, sweet like honey, but in his belly, immediately it lands in his belly, it is bitter in his belly. Sweet in the mouth, sweeter than honey in his mouth. We are talking about the word of God, and we are saying that John the Revelator eats the little book, and it becomes in his mouth sweet like honey, but in his belly it is bitter. And Jonathan eats the honey from the ground, and when he eats the honey from the ground, his eyes are enlightened, and he observes and says, my father has troubled the land. He begins to see clearly that his father has made a wrong decision by telling the people to fast when they should have been eating, because a lot of honey had fallen into the ground. They would have enjoyed a better victory. That's what Jonathan is saying. They would have enjoyed a better victory, a bigger victory, a better victory between them in this war between themselves and the Philistines. And then we go to Judges 14, and we find Samson having another experience, a honey experience. Samson has been seeking this woman in Timnath in the land of the Philistines to marry this girl. And he has traveled to Timnath with his father and mother. But this one time when he's alone, a young lion roars against him, and the lion wants to devour him, but he tears it up with his hands, no weapon in his hands. And a few days later, when he's passing through, he turns aside and he sees the carcass of the lion. He is curious. He goes to find what's happening, and he finds that there's honey, bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. He eats the honey. He scoops it in his hand, eats it, and takes it to his father and mother, and they also eat, but he doesn't tell them where the honey is coming from. Sweeter than honey. Later on, he places a riddle before the Philistines about about his honey experience. Of course, they don't know the meaning of the riddle, and they have to press the lady that he's going to marry, his Samson's fiancée, until now she presses Samson for the answer, and they tell him sweeter than. They say what is sweeter than honey and what is stronger than a lion. They would not have known the meaning of the riddle if they had not pressed the lady to tell them the meaning of the riddle. But today we are saying there's something sweeter than honey, and it is the word of God. And we are saying something sweeter than honey is the word of God. Psalm 119, 103. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey in my mouth. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Today at the Healing Station, we're asking God to give us an experience like he gave John the Revelator, where he gives us the word of God, so that we find that the word of God becoming so sweet, sweeter than honey, sweeter than honey, sweeter than honey, that we may experience that we may have a similar experience that the one Jonathan had about him eating honey and his eyes are enlightened. As we continue to read the word of God and to meditate on the word of God, we shall begin to delight in the word of God. We shall find that it is sweeter than honey, and our eyes shall be enlightened, so that our understanding is sharpened and our intelligence is sharpened, and we begin to see things clearly, so that we can say like the psalmist, my understanding has increased because of your testimonies, because of your word, because of your statutes. I've become more intelligent than my teachers. I'm wiser than my teachers. I'm wiser than the ancients because of your word. Thank you very much. And then again, subscribe, share, like, comment, and then begin to experience the word of God. Begin to enjoy the word of God, because it is sweeter than honey, sweeter than honey, and sweeter than the honeycomb. Thank you very much. Until next time we meet again, enjoy the honey, enjoy the honey, enjoy the word of God.